Let's take some notes over dividing fractions and finding unit rate. So our learning target, I can compute unit rates associated with ratios of fractions. So let's go over our rules for dividing fractions. Let's start there. So when we divide fractions, remember we do our three-step process. We keep, we change, and then we flip. So we are going to keep the first number the same. We're going to change our operation from division to multiplication, and then we are going to flip and use the reciprocal of the second fraction. So for number 1, we are going to keep, change, and flip. And then to multiply our fractions, we multiply straight across. 1 times 4 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So when we simplify this, our answer would be 2. Number 2, keep, change, and flip. And let's multiply. 1 times 5 is 5. 3 times 2 is 6. Number 3, when we have these whole numbers, before we do anything, we need to turn them into a fraction. So take a whole number and turn it into a fraction. We put it over 1. If we were to find that value, 2 divided by 1 would still be 2. So we're going to keep, change, and flip. And now we can multiply straight across. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. Number 4, we change our whole number to a fraction. So we're going to keep this the same. We're changing, and we are flipping. 4 times 8 is 32, and 1 times 7 is 7. For today's purpose, we can go ahead and leave these as improper fractions. All right, so let's review our concept of a unit rate. What is a unit rate? A unit rate is a rate with a denominator of 1. So that would be finding how much of something we have per 1 of something else. So let's do an example. Mike walked 5 blocks in 15 minutes. How many minutes did it take for him to walk 1 block? So this is 1 block, so that was going to be on the bottom of our ratio. And then our minutes would be on top. All right, so we're going to find our information from the problem, which is right here. So he walks 15 minutes in 5 blocks. So if we simplify this down, 15 divided by 5 is 3. So it would take him 3 minutes per block. Let's review a little vocabulary. A complex fraction is a fraction over another fraction. Let's look at some examples of these complex fractions. All right, so we have 1/2 over 4, which we can turn into a fraction. Another example, 6 over 3/4. Remember, we can take that 6 and make it into a fraction. Or we have an example here, 1/3 over 7/8. Now to simplify these down so that we don't have fractions in fractions, we simplify this by dividing. So we're going to go back up to that skill review that we did up here, and we're going to divide out our examples. So let's do this first one here. So we're going to keep this top one the same. This line means division. So this right here means division. So we're going to change it to multiplication, and then we're going to flip this one upside down. And when we multiply, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 4 is 8. All right, let's do our second example. We're going to keep this one the same. We're going to change from division to multiplication, and then we're going to flip this second one. And now we can multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. Over 1 times 3 is 3. I know that both of these are divisible by 3. 24 divided by 3 is 8, and 3 divided by 3 is 1. Let's look at our last one. We're going to keep this one the same. Change to multiplication. Then we're going to flip this one upside down. So 8 over 7. Now we can multiply straight across. 1 times 8 is 8. And 3 times 7 is 21. All right, let's do one more example together, and then you're going to have a chance to try it out on your own. It took Jenny 2 hours to knit 1/3 of a scarf. How many hours will it take for her to make one scarf? So one scarf, since that's our 1, that's going to be the bottom of our unit. So we're going to start with setting up our ratio. So I'm going to start with my units, and then I will substitute in numbers. So I'm going to put in my scarf, and then hours will be on top. So 2 hours for 1/3 of a scarf. And now we're going to simplify. So I'm going to make this into a fraction. So 2 over 1 over 1/3. So we're going to keep, change, flip. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. So it's going to take her 6 hours to make one scarf. All right, example 2. Teachers, pause the video and give your students a moment to work through this, and then you can press play when you're ready to begin. All right, example 2. Mike read 1/4 of the newspaper in 1/3 of an hour. How long did it take him to read the whole paper? So this whole paper is going to be our 1 unit, so that's going to go on the bottom. And then we're talking about how long, so my time will go on top. So I had 1/3 of an hour over 1/4 of the newspaper. All right, so we're going to keep, change, and flip. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. So it's 4/3 hour for 1 paper. Or 1 page. Nope, whole paper. Hours per paper. All right, your next page looks like this, and you have 3 examples to work. So teachers, give your students some time to work on these 3 examples, and then go over the answers with them, and then they will complete the exit ticket.